I'll save my questions to the end. I'm going to yield now to the co-chair, Senator Rubio.
Thank you, and I'll just ask one question because I know members have places to go, and I want them to get in on this. But you know, the key issue before us is autonomy. If you go back in 2014, they took away universal suffrage for the chief executive. In 2016 and 17, they jailed, they disqualified 6 Democratic lawmakers from legislative council seats using a very controversial interpretation of the Hong Kong Constitution. And then in 2019, this effort at the extradition bill. So my question to all the panelists is, how would you describe the state of Hong Kong autonomy today?
During the last congressional hearing, I strongly aware how one country, two system eroded to be one country, one and a half system. But the recent political crisis by how Hong Kong and Beijing government turned such a global city into the police state with more violence and even white terror, I would describe now as the collapse of one country, two system, and also we are facing the death under the current constitutional framework. And I think now is also the time and the reason which we hope to seek for bipartisan support. Support Hong Kong's democratization should not be the matter of left or right. It should be the matter of right or wrong.
So on a more cultural and social context, there is an immense fear among the people to speak their minds, which is a result of how the businesses and the government institutions, they have put pressure onto their employees or the people to keep their mouths shut, basically. And so this has a huge impact on the economy because you know, without this freedom of speech, it's very difficult for the economy and also the society to thrive because in a sense, we are already in somewhat of a China city situation where people would fear for their safety if they spoke out about their political stance. Just for an example, there has been an unofficial Hong Kong anthem recently that has been written by an anonymous songwriter, and they have opted to keep their anonymity because if they have shown their faces, then most probably they would have been arrested or prosecuted because of on claims of national threats, national security threats. So that's basically the sentiment on the grounds for Hong Kong people.
Last year, the USCC published a report concerns that Hong Kong is becoming more likely like any other Chinese city. And that means that our autonomy is already gone. And actually, even the USCC has issued a report to claim that the autonomy of Hong Kong is already in danger. In UK, when I met some politicians, I would tell them that the Chinese government already breached the Sino-British Joint Declaration. And that's why I would say the autonomy of Hong Kong is already dead. And that's why we urge the US government and other free world countries try to help with Hong Kong with many, like passing the Human Rights and Democracy Act. And you can pass the Global Magnitsky Act in other countries, urge your allies to pass them, to let other free world countries to stand with Hong Kong.
The economy, Senator Rubio, question is extremely important because post-1989, that was a decision that was made by the Communist Party. We're going to go forth back into market and economic reforms, but absolutely no political reforms. This has been echoed by the chief executive when she endlessly has been having these kind of ridiculous press conferences where she says nothing. One thing she does say is, we need to restore the economy. We need to restore economic order, and completely ignoring the structural political issues that is causing a lot of the fundamental unrest. So the other point I wanted to add is that the Hong Kong economy was not delivering the goods to most of the Hong Kong people. The tycoons and probably the triads were doing quite well, but not the majority of Hong Kong people. Hence, we have the housing problem, the education problem, the problem of the elderly with not adequate care, and so forth, and health care. So the economy wasn't delivering, and I think what needs to happen, yes, there should be a renewal of the economy, but it's going to be an economy that works for all the people. If I could pick up quickly on Sunny's reference to autonomy. Autonomy, what it means for the Communist Party is we only need to look at the so-called autonomous regions in Tibet and Xinjing. What autonomy means is no cultural, no language, no history, no right to believe or practice your faith under the Sinicization of religion, which is an oxymoron. And their understanding of autonomy even extends to past this life. As you know, the party is trying to now control reincarnation. So they also trying to impose a notion of Chineseness. What kind of Chineseness? Well, Xi Jinping's notion of Chineseness under the Chinese dream and what is Chinese. But Hong Kongers are quite complex as a history and language and culture, and I think Hong Kongers are going and are negotiating what it means to be a Hong Konger, whether it includes being a Chinese. Does it mean that? And I think that's what it means to be free, the right to decide and determine in this complex way, what does it mean to be who we are? And that is absolutely antithetical to the DNA of the Communist Party and its notion of autonomy, because it doesn't exist.
Thank you. The rule of patriots in Hong Kong basically means that there is no substantive high degree of autonomy. Basically, under Xi Jinping, a democratic centralism is practiced. They may solicit input from the Hong Kong government, but once Beijing makes a decision, the SAR government has to implement it. Building on Dr. Hom's comments here, national identity is now a national security issue for the Communist Party in Hong Kong. And they believe that one of the major problems, this goes back to 2007, when Hu Jintao told the Hong Kong government on the 10th anniversary that the SAR government had to create a new generation of Hong Kongers who loved one country, two systems, who loved China. That the recovery of Hong Kong would not be complete until Hong Kongers identified with China, with communist China. This also touches on Xi Jinping's Chinese Communist identity politics, which is attempting to rehabilitate the spoiled image of the Communist Party and the spoiled image of being a communist. This is why we start seeing laws protecting the national anthem, martyrs and so forth like this. And so in Hong Kong, which has always been historically anti-communist to a large degree, there is this effort related to the extradition campaign to eradicate so-called anti-communist sentiment and anti-communist forces. With regards to autonomy, because the Belt and Road Initiative and the Greater Bay Area initiatives are key to China's development program right now, and because the central government believes that the major impediment to Hong Kong signing on and strongly supporting these programs has been the two systems, has been its democracy, has been its freedoms. It is now looking to restrict those in order to force the SAR government to support these programs. So once again, in closing, I would say there is no substantive autonomy. Thank you.